It is still the conversation, and thank you for staying tuned. Sports have always been more than just a means of entertainment or competition. They possess the unique ability to break down barriers, foster unity, and promote social inclusion across various communities. Today, we will be discussing sports as a tool for social inclusion with a sports enthusiast, Chidi Ijere Daniel. He is the president and co-owner at Jebo Football Club. You're welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, viewers too.
So now we are discussing sports as a tool for social inclusion. In your experience, how powerful is sports, especially in empowering the youth and bridging the gap in society?
Yes, sports is one of the most potent weapons to use in terms of if you want to achieve unity of all sorts, unity among differences. Maybe you find situation where people are not agreeing to a cause or to following a pathway. You can actually use sports to bridge that gap. And then, of course, like you also said, to empower the youth, you also need sports. And you know that Nigeria is so blessed with these teaming numbers of youth. One of the ways to empower them, especially when we cry of unemployment, mass unemployment in our community, one of the ways to also empower them is by deploying sports. And then when we talk about sport, you know, most people will want to liken it to just football alone. No, but sports is just bigger than that. You have several sports. For instance, you take the Olympic as an example. You have several kind of sports that they do in the Olympic, and I dare say that Nigeria can participate in all of those sports because we have, one, the number, then we have these youths who are very, very agile, full of vitality, full of strength, full of energy. Sometimes I have the question, why is it that we are not participating in some sports like swimming?
Because I was about to ask
like
that.
Swimming, we have the riverine areas where you need to see these boys and girls when they dive into these muddy waters, the way they swim. We can go there, bring some of these guys, train them, make them become professional in this aspect. And you look at the Kenyans, the kind of humid environment that they have over there in their place is what we also have in the north, in the northern part of Nigeria. And we train our northern youths like the Kenyans train themselves. Over the years, Kenya has always been winning most of these long distance races. Nigeria can even do better because we are blessed with such talent. So there are several areas. Even sometimes I also joke, these people who call the Agberos, the Omotas, train them to become boxers. These guys are so powerful. Train them to become boxers. And before you know it, we'll have another...
I think that powerful. It's just mouth they have.
No, they are. All they need is just the skill to become a better fighter. They are rugged as a fighter now, but to polish them and make them become better fighter, we can use sports to also empower them and train them to become better boxers. So sport is a very, very powerful tool for any people who have been able to discover this. At the end of the day, they are the best for it.
Okay, there's no denying the fact that, you know, football is loved by all beyond even Lagos, Nigeria as a whole. And I see football as a unifier because that is when you see Nigerians, you know, come together, especially when Nigeria as a country is, you know, playing football with another country. You don't know Yoruba, you don't even see religion. So your experience as a co-founder of a football club, I want to start from there. Why did you choose football?
Okay. Maybe you need to look at my trajectory from when I was younger than this. When I was in primary school, I passed that as the sport prefect of the school. So sport has been a part of me. When I was in the university, I was a part of the relay team. I was a part of the football team. And then even in church, I was involved with a lot of sporting activities. It got to a point I was actually confused of what to become in life. Was I going to be a footballer? Was I going to be an athlete? Because I was blessed with all of this. Academically, I was also doing very well in school. And then sometimes along the line too, I was appointed by my church, First Gospel Church, to be the national sports coordinator And we didn't only concentrate on football, we also brought in other sports. It was an office I occupied for 20 years, 21 years. I just handed over in August 2024 to some other persons. So, but for me, football became a thing of pride. My church, Foursquare, is located in Ajebo, Ogun State. And so we used to have this hostility with the host community, the youth there. And so when I was made the national sports coordinator, one of the things I went out to do was to try to unify the community and the church. And I felt that the best way to do it was to get them also involved in our sporting activities. So we created a slot for them, wherein every year when we go to camp for a camp meeting, the youth, especially the youth camp, we have a slot for them where they also take part in sporting activity. So that friendship started from there. So along the line, they just walked up to me to say, we want you to come and co-own our football club. And then I am today as the president and the co-owner. It's actually a partly owned venture between the Ajebo community, which is in Obafemi Wode local government in Ogun State, and myself. And so that's why you find that I am co-owning a football club.
Okay, I like that you said you used football as a tool to, foster unity.
Yeah.
So how important is grassroots sports development?
Very important. Very, very important, because the sport is an energetic exercise. The old, there's a limit you get to in life, and you are no longer strong enough, agile enough to do sports. The Cristiano Ronaldo we're celebrating today, we're not just celebrating him now that he's in his 40s or thereabout. We started him from when he was 16, 17. And that is grassroots. You look at his history, he said one of his greatest regrets was that his father was not alive to see him become the greatest footballer on earth, because he started playing football at his very, very tender age on the streets. And a lot of them have a lot of history. Let's look at Mane of Senegal. He also played from the dung hills to becoming who he is today, grassroots. And that's where we as a nation, Nigeria, were missing it. Yeah, and sport is also supposed to generate for us, it's also to be another means of revenue generation for us if we take it seriously. Let's go to the grassroots. Like I said, go to the riverine area, go to the Niger deltas, go to Ondo State, and pick all of these young people who can swim, train them from the grassroots. Go to the northern part of Nigeria, pick those youth that are so restless that you only find them coming out during election or riots to show their strength. Let's divert that strength, the utilization of that strength, into doing something worthwhile. Let's go to the grassroots and pick this place. The grassroots is the nurturing ground for any country that wants to do well in sporting activity, not just in sporting activity, in almost all spheres of life. You need to catch them young. And the best place to catch them young is to go to the grassroots to do that.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned youth engagement and, engaging them positively. So how can you use sports now to engage these young people, to keep them away from negative influences?
Yeah, these days today we cry about our young ones indulging themselves in cyber crimes, popularly known as Yahoo Yahoo, because they feel that's one of the means to an end. But we need to let them know that the greatest means to an end is, one of them is sports. Is sports. You can actually defend whatever wealth you make today. I don't know how many of those Yahoo Yahoo guys can claim to be richer than the likes of Victor Osimhen, the likes of AJ, the boxers, our boxer. How many of them, Anthony Joshua, how many of them can claim to be as rich as those guys are? Okay. Those guys made their wealth from sporting activity. So aside from going to catch them young, we also need to enlighten them. They need to be enlightened to know that, look, whatever you want to achieve in life, with sports, you can achieve it. We see what, I have forgotten his name, this young man is doing, going to Mushi under the bridge, recruiting small children and making them world champions in chess. That's another aspect of sport. We have a chess competition, and you find that Nigerian children are excelling in all of those areas. You find some people are excelling in Scrabble competition. You find some people are excelling in some other sports and game activities. So we need to, we normally talk about agriculture. When they say you have to have agriculture extension workers, I also think we need to have sport extension workers. The job of the extension workers are to go to the community, the rural area, and enlighten, educate farmers on how to make best use of their farming ability. So we also need to have sports extension work who will go there and enlighten our children, our teenagers, our youth on what they stand to achieve or benefit by sport. My son is currently in the secondary school, and he's been telling me that, look, I want to also be a sports person. I said, okay, do well academically, and then you can also go in for your sporting activities.
But I thought both can go
hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
Yeah, both can go pari passu, hand in hand, but I don't see both going hand in hand in our Nigeria of today.
Why not?
In our Nigeria, no, the way the government have fashioned education,
The curriculum,
the curriculum, it will be difficult to achieve that here. But for some other countries, some of this Western world, maybe some European countries, in the US, you find that as you do sports, you are also doing your academics. You are taking it seriously. You are running sports. You are also running your academics. But we don't have such structure in Nigeria, and I think it's one area that both our Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Sports and Youth Development should look at how they can synergize together to make it go hand in hand. A friend of mine just wanted to start something of recent, a secondary school that is a sporting secondary school, where in his mind is, look, I want to promote sport and academics together. And of course, if government can support,
a lot of,
it will draw a lot of them.
But
for us here in Nigeria, I know when I was growing up, my father dare not fear I am concentrating more on my footballing career than my academics. So we tried to make it go hand in hand, but it became very, very difficult.
But, okay, this is a bit of a digression. Since sports is a unifier, why is there so much attention on football? In Nigeria?
Yes, it's not just only in Nigeria. I need to give credit to the organization that over the years have been in charge of football. They've done so much that the second love every man has outside the wife is football. Yeah, it's football, and they've done very, very well. You know, for instance, when you have any crisis, for instance, maybe an earthquake, they always speak of the epicenter of where that earthquake is happening from. So when you talk of sport, the epicenter of sport is football. It's football. You first must talk about football because of the way the organization, FIFA, maybe FIFA, I give them credit, have actually done in organizing that sport, and how much of attention has been paid into that aspect of sport. Football, we can use that to also develop some other sporting activities. Most of our young ones, teenagers, youth, are really focusing on football. But a lot of them, you find that when you come closer to them and you begin to have the discussion with them, you find that they are not even suited to be a footballer. They might be best suited to be a basketballer, and they might be best suited to be a wrestler, a boxer, a whatever.
Is this because they are more exposed to stories about footballers and football itself? Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. The organization, the body in charge of football, has so promoted that sporting activity that people get to be interested in what is happening around the football circle. But then if you go to the US, basketball is more prominent than football. The American rugby, American football is more prominent. They don't even call football, they call it soccer. And the American football is more prominent than football because of how much they have paid attention to promoting box and basketball and the American rugby. So if we also promote another sport like that, you find that it will enjoy more prominence than football is enjoying. But today, give or take, football is the #1 sport.
So what other sport do you think that Nigerians should promote and make it their own, like the Americans have made rugby and basketball?
Like I said, a lot of them. Nigeria is blessed. This country is blessed with a lot of talent.
I wonder why I don't see us in swimming.
Yeah, in swimming.
The Olympics.
That's why I say we should promote swimming. If I become the sports minister today, I would go to promote swimming. And I assure you, before the end of a tenure, we should have champions in swimmers. Then, like I talk of athletics, long distance. You know, we do very well in the sprint races, the 100 meters, the 200 meters. That's why we have the likes of Toby, Amos, and was doing us so proud, and a lot of them have done us so proud in time past. But if you look at the long distance races, the 3,000 meters, the 5,000 meters, the marathon, you hardly find Nigerians there doing very, very well. Even when we organize marathon, the popular access band, whatever marathon, you find that people from outside other African countries will come here and go home with the trophy. The first edition of that marathon, I was part of that that contest, and I tried to finish the race. I tried to finish the race. Yeah, I tried, and I did. And when I was asking one of the organizers that, what do you think was my position? And he said, you must
I was going to ask, what was your position?
And he said, you must have ran among the thousands. But I just, I just made an effort to finish, and I crossed the line. I finished, and that was the first and the last time I took part in that.
Why didn't you go again?
Because I was not trained to be a long distance runner.
Okay.
I was good at sprint. Like I told you, I was a member of my school relay team. So I was good at, when it says 100 meters relay, I was that good.
Okay, I want us to look at the people living with disabilities in the sporting world. Do you think, as a people or as a nation, we are doing so much in that area? And then what are some of the challenges that they experience, and how can it be addressed?
Okay, the subject matter we're looking at today is using sports as a tool for social inclusion. So for us to have such topic, social inclusion means there are social exclusion. Yeah. And then you look around us, you want to ask that, what are the factors that have contributed to social exclusion? We have racism, the color of your skin. We can't talk too much, we can't dwell too much about it, you know it. Religion has caused social exclusion. Your tribe, when we come back home. And then the various form of interest to also bring about social exclusion. But the saddest for me is when we refer to people with disability, and because of the fact that they are disabled, we now tend to exclude them from a number of social things that they should enjoy. For me, I feel very, very bad, because these people never created themselves that way. And some of them were actually born that way. Some of them, maybe due to one accident or the other, led to them being disabled. So most time I sat down to look at it. It's not only sport that is geared at trying to close that gap. We also, the education system is also aimed at closing the gap between the people we call able and the ones we call disabled. You find a lot of ideas have come out to see how we can use. But using sports, I think, was the reason also why the Olympics came up with the Paralympic Games. And just because they noticed that, no, why would we all the years be excluding these people from being a part of us? But I also have a problem with the way the Paralympic game is being organized, because the game starts immediately the normal Olympic ends. And you find that a lot of people who even come, spectators who come for the program, for the Olympics, would have even gone. And you have fewer people staying back to watch the Paralympics take the stage. For me, I would have felt that I still think that exclusion is still there in a way, even though they've tried to close that gap by saying, let's also set up a Paralympic game. But for the fact that you also allow it to commence immediately after, is still some form of exclusion. So I would have felt that in between the proper Olympic, you also have the Paralympic game coming in. Okay. Maybe 2 days for those who are able-bodied, 2-3 days, and then before you round off the ones that are for the able-bodies, you end the one for the Paralympic, and then the next day you round up. I think that's the best way to cover this gap. For those who are disabled, it's not their fault. It's not their fault, but I want them to also know that the society loves them. The society cares about them. We know what the government is doing. Even in a political setting, they will also always say people with disability. They also have something for them. But I don't like to time them as people with disability. I see them as part of the family. I have an elder sister, not biological. 2 of them, but one of them is disabled, kind of. They lost their parents at a very, very tender age. Their parents happened to be, their mom happened to be my dad's auntie. So my dad took them from that very, very tender age, and she grew with her family. She's disabled, she's on a wheelchair, but we didn't treat her as being disabled. Today, she's one of the best hairstylists you can have around town. And then she married somebody who is also able-bodied. We are from Abia State. She married a Yoruba guy here in Lagos, and they are living happily.
I'm from Abia State too.
You know, so they are part of the family. Whether they are disabled or able, they are part of the family. We even have instances where, academically speaking, in the same class, you have people who you term to be disabled doing better, performing better than the people that you think are able.
Yeah.
Still talking about inclusion, let's talk about women. Do we have enough women in politics,
sports?
Do we have enough women in sports? And, you know, as a co-owner, of a football club, what initiatives do you think should be put in place to have more women in sports?
Yes.
Because the football club you have, of course, is
I'm sure it's for men.
For men. Yeah, for men. We
so
just
why didn't you think of a woman?
because we just started. You need to have a starting point. We just started. That was immediately after the COVID. So the club is about 3 years now. Yes, about 3 years now. So there's a plan to also have a women wing of that sport. Like I told you, I was national sport for Foursquare. So every sport that we do, we have the male category. We also have the female category. And I want to say that, interestingly, we've had a lot of our teenage girls and youth participate in those sporting activities. The only one we've never really added them before now was football. But the last campaign we had in August, for the very first time, we had a football competition organized for the ladies. And we saw that, wow.
A real football
real football. Yes, a real football competition. And we saw that, wow, we have been very, very late to make this decision. Our girls have been ready for us. Before now, the number was not that high. But today, we have a lot of women who are into sports, who are interested in coming into sport. And I think the world is encouraging women participation. The world is encouraging them. As you pick the champion for the best player for the male category, you also find them picking for the female category. As you pick the fastest male, you also find them picking the fastest female. So women are really coming in, but women can do more. So I think the women should be the one charging themselves to do more. Don't feel too laid back. Yes, of a truth, the Bible has said that the man is the head of the family. But that doesn't mean that women should continue to be laid back when it comes to also coming out to showcase how much of strength or talent God has given them in terms of sport. So women should charge themselves the more. The opportunity is there. Nobody's holding them down. Nobody's holding them back from coming out to take their rightful place. So I think the challenge should go to the women folk to please take your rightful place. Yeah, the world is waiting for you.
Okay. So I want us to go back to grassroots sports. You said something that it's time we begin to go back to, catch them young.
Yeah.
And I think that if we begin to concentrate on these things, we will do better in the sporting world. But again, what are the changes that you want to see in the sporting world, especially when it has to do with grassroots sports development?
Yeah, I'll speak from my own Jerusalem, which is Nigeria. Yeah, the changes I want to say in between, while I was speaking earlier on, I mentioned something about it. One of which is I want the sport ministry to do more. Every successive sport minister, you find that they concentrate more on sports, and then as a sport minister, you are not a football. You are not a football minister. The catchy of your office is you are a sports minister. So which means if every sport minister you sit down and enumerate the number of sports that we think we have around us in this country, which one are we participating in? Surprisingly, you find that Nigeria even does rugby in our country, but we don't participate. We do badminton here. We play cricket in Nigeria. But how much of us do you hear internationally? Because focus is not on all of those sports. They just concentrate on football alone. Thank God that most of these sports, not most, all of them, they have their association. So the job of the sport minister is to put the chairman or the chairpersons of these other sporting activities, associations, to put them on their feet, to put them on the run. That look, as much as sports is growing, I want to see basketball grow. I want to see taekwondo grow. I want to see swimming grow. I want to see this grow. And then you must be checking on them and also provide a supervisory body to ensure that these things are happening. And the sport minister cannot go to the grassroots. It's the job of the state sports commissioners or sports administrators at that level to actually do this. So I also expect the federal to work in consonant with the state FAs, the state sports commissioner, they call them commissioner. And then let's see how we can grow this. And then go back to our secondary school and develop sports from our secondary school, from primary school. Then the university game should be taken more seriously. Gone are those days when we take our university games so seriously. Enough of going for an underage competition, maybe an under-17 competition, and you go with guys who are in their 70s, or I mean their 40s, in their 30s, just because they have this baby face. And then you take them to the world stage and you say, these ones are Nigeria under-17. We can have a proper under-17. and also make
vibrant.
and vibrant and also
Agile.
make impact in the world. But our people are lazy, our leaders are lazy. So I think it's because they are lazy, they don't want to do the work. You are in that office because you have been called to come and do the work, but they are there just for the office, what the office has got to offer, but they are not ready to put their hands on deck and do the work. So laziness.
Okay, we have some people who love to do sports,
Okay.
but there are some barriers,
Okay.
stopping them. What do you think are some of these barriers, and how can, as a sportsman, what can be done to overcome these obstacles?
Okay, some of the barriers are parental. Parental inclination is also a barrier. Like I said of my son, who is crazy about sports.
But you are not stopping him
No, I'm not stopping him, but I just felt, okay, do your schooling.
first.
And I don't know how far we are going with this issue of when a child graduates at 15 from secondary school, he has to wait till 18 before furthering his education. I need to follow through with that discussion. My son will be graduating at the age of 15, 16 from the secondary school. So for the 2 years, what would they be doing? What will he be doing? So, he's playing football. So we have some parental barrier. Like growing up, I know a lot of parents never allowed their children to be part of sports until they now begin to see that, wow, there's a lot of money in football.
Should money be a motivator?
No, it is.
It is.
No, passion is there, but you cannot hide from money being a major motivation. A lot of people go into sports today because of the money that is in it. We have to tell ourselves the truth. Yeah. So one of those barriers, like I said, is parental inclination towards sports. Another barrier is the government interest. Are they really, really interested in developing sport as should? Another barrier is the people themselves, these young ones themselves. Are they really given all it takes to become a better sports person? I like to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. When we talk about the commitment of somebody, they tell us the number of hours that Ronaldo commits into personal training and practice to become who he is today. And of course, you need to commit yourself to, that's the area where discipline comes in. So a lot of people are also lacking in discipline. You want to be a sports person, you are not disciplined to walk the talk of what you want to become in life. So then, of course, government instability is also a barrier. We don't really know the focus of our government. Are they really interested in sport? I recall some years ago, 1996 precisely, our then president as it was, head of state, General Sani Abacha, stopped the Nigerian team from going to South Africa to participate in the Africa Cup of Nations at that time. We just won it in 94. And that team was one of the best teams, if not the strongest team in the continent of Africa at the time. If we had gone to 96, we would have won it again. But our governments were not interested. They stopped us from going for that. So those are some of the barriers. We can go on and on to list them. They are endless.
Since we're still talking about challenges or barriers, you co-own a football club. Yeah. So what are some of the challenges that you also experience? Is it all rosy?
It's not. It's not. I want to say I appreciate the Ajebo community who actually walked up to me to say, come and co-own this football club with us. And I accepted. We had our grand our unveiling inside the main bowl of the Macpherson University, also within that community. And since then, we tried to do a number of things, but one of the challenges we are having has to do with funding. You need a lot of money to run a football club or a football, whatever. It's just like running a charity.
Sports activity?
Yes, you need a lot of money to run it. Yeah, you need a lot of manpower to run it. And you cannot go to borrow money to run a football club. The weighty interest rate would kill you. And some of the challenges we also are having has to do with one of the challenges I had also, because like I said, my name is Chidi. Some of the people also felt, Ibolo Timbo, where is it coming from? That is coming to be the co-owner.
So ethnic challenge?
Yes, ethnic challenge was also there. It came out, somebody even had to challenge me that, were they sleeping? Why would they allow this to happen? But along the line, that was subdued by the Oba, the king of the community. So there are lots, but chief among them is finance. If there are funding, if there are finances, then you can achieve anything as a sports person.
Okay. I want to look at the media and awareness right now. So what role does the media coverage play in promoting sporting activities related to social inclusion, and what role do you think it plays in raising enough awareness?
I spoke of the sport extension workers. If you ask me who are the people that should be there, the major players should be journalists, the media. And I said that we don't have much happening in that area. So I think the media should do more. They've not done, by my own estimation,
The media is not doing enough?
they've not done up to average. Maybe just scratching the surface. But this is one aspect that we can continue. This discussion that we're having, this is a media house, LTV8, I give it to them. If we can continue with the discussion, not just that after the discussion, we're not even going back to it again. So what is the media going to do from here? Media should be like a pressure group on our government. That's what we should do. But you find that a lot of our media activities are focused on the in thing, especially politics now. Most media coverage now is on what's happening in Rivers State. They're hardly talking about what's happening to every other aspect of governance. Sport is a part of governance. And I think those who have been asked to concentrate on that ministry called the sports ministry, the media guys who are there should do more, should promote more, should make more noise, should shout more, should go to sports people you know that are involved in sport, and let them continue to talk and talk and talk and talk. It's like when we spoke against dictatorship and we spoke for democracy. You know, the media played major role to cry loud for democracy. And today in Nigeria, we have democracy. So I also see if the media would also speak in favor of sports and then social inclusion, especially for the people that we call the disabled ones, you find that at a point in time, the world will listen to them.
The world will listen to them if the media, play their role. Thank you very much, Chidi Ijere Daniel, who wants to be known as CID. He's the president / co-owner at Jebo Football Club. And we've been talking about sport as a tool for social inclusion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so very much. It's a pleasure being here.
We'll go on another short break. When we come back, the conversation continues.